look at those. I just look at those to see how much that would
It would be. I saw that Curtis said already was the first
I've seen that. There's a lot of pictures of that group.
good old picture.
We will not. Great. And we still make them.
Is that?
I didn't see
That's it. We want to.
That makes it better. But then all Nathan's going to see is the back.
Nah, you're clear.
You can raise that.
Are we on?
Yep, you got one online.
Okay, sounds good. I officially call this meeting of Auburn City Council to order, and I'd like to welcome visitors and guests to our meeting tonight. And the first item on the agenda is to approve the agenda, and that was with the most recent one with an addition of J7, flag policy, and then dropping item N. I think it's current.
Move approval of the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Paul. Is there a second?
I will second.
Paul, second. Moved and seconded to approve the amended agenda. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? The motion carries. Next item is communications. If there's anybody here to speak to an item that's on the agenda, just wait until that opportunity comes up with the agenda. I think there's some agendas in the back of the room. And if you're here for public comment in general, come to the mic, turn it on, get 5 minutes, and go from there. So, officially open to the public, and I know, Keith, you wanted to do the presentation? So
Yeah.
So I'm here to speak to the approval that the council took on the city fire truck on the 6th of January. Having been on the department a long time, fire trucks are important in putting out fires, but I have some concerns with the purchase of a truck that doesn't have a phone. I also have some concerns about some of the comments that were made by the council members after I listened to the event, and one of them was the consideration of evacuating people from the 3-story building that was developed at some taxpayer expense, specifically the new development building on Rachel Street or whatever extension that is. The comment was made that we need a ladder truck to help get people out of that building, and I'm wondering why the council didn't consider that when we took taxpayer dollars and had them build a 3-story building in the first place. Those are things we expect you guys and gals to consider when you're approving and spending taxpayer dollars on buildings being built by others. Planning and zoning should be looking at that stuff. If we don't have a ladder truck and we're concerned about a 3-story building, then we shouldn't have been approving 3-story buildings. There's a lot of ground out there that could have made it 2 if that was the problem. My other big issue with this is we spent $2 million on a swimming pool improvement, and we studied that, and we discussed it, and we had meetings about it for months and months and months and months. The week after the holiday, this thing comes up. Was it on the agenda? Yes. Did I check the agenda on Sunday afterwards, assuming there was going to be a $2 million expenditure? No, I did not. So I should have been here. I should have paid more attention to that. But my concern is that we moved forward with that type of purchase without any input from the public, general public. As we're seeing out in California, putting water on a fire is probably the most important thing there is. Buying a truck without that ability requires another engine to respond. In reviewing some of the responses from department members, who I'm well acquainted with, one of them was, well, we can get there quicker if we, with this truck. That either shows me extreme limited knowledge of how we respond to fires, or that response is from somebody that's really young and probably doesn't understand what we're doing in fire service in the first place. But first and foremost, firefighter safety and put fire into water, or water into fire. If one of our engines gets traded in, which according to the paper, we're getting rid of the oldest engine, leaves us 2 engines, and again, we're spending $1.7 million for a new truck that can't move water by itself. I find that unacceptable as a taxpayer. I have 6 properties in 2 cities here. I expect that we can move water to them from a fire truck. Your fire hydrant without an engine will not push water through that truck. Not sufficient to fight fire. There's all kinds of other issues with the truck that were discussed. I guess I did supply a pre-owned truck. If we want to consider a ladder truck, I don't have a huge problem with it. Let's get one with a pump, and why don't we start with a used one? $1.7 million to put a serious damper on our budget going forward for years and years and years. Again, to me is unacceptable. It's really interrupting the pre-planned purchase of fire trucks that's been in place for a lot of decades here. And we're going to completely screw that up. You're going to get rid of our oldest engine. Now we have 2 fire engines and a truck that can't move water. That's my biggest issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hubner. Any other people from the public that would like to address the council?
Yeah.
Just address the name and...
Yeah, sure. My name is Meredith Zedifkar, Mehrdadzarifkar, 302 2nd Street Southeast, Mount Vernon. I've been on the fire department since October of 2005, which to me feels like a very short time ago, but if any of you do the math, just don't tell me about it. And our main reason to be here is, A, to thank you guys for your trust. We felt very supported with your decision, and I think you're really good about trusting us to communicate our needs. So I'm not going to hammer on about that too much. I wanted to talk just a little bit about ladder trucks, because I was thinking, in just those brief years I've been on, when would our public see a ladder truck in town, right? So I'm thinking Scores Fire or like the bowling alley, very public fires. We actually had an audience at the bowling alley fire because it was a nice day. But they see these fire trucks ladder up, pointing down, spraying thousands of gallons of water a minute. Thousands of gallons of water, because these are now defensive fires. So we're putting water on the fire to keep it basically from spreading other places, but we're not doing anything like tactically or kind of super impactful with it right then and there, right? And that's why we can wait 20, 30 minutes for Cedar Rapids to show up with a truck like that. It's not an immediate action type of item. Now last week, we went to Riverside, the truck committee, to look at Riverside's ladder truck. Fire departments like to look at other departments that have a similar piece of equipment, so we can see how they've spec'd it out, what have they done with their compartments, what do you like, not like, so then our truck can evolve from that and be just a little bit better. So as we come back from that, we're hanging out at the station, we get a call to a house fire in Solon. We go, would have been nice to have that truck. So we get to Solon, and more or less a chimney caught fire, set the house on fire, set the attic on fire. And I'm the built-a firefighter that goes into attics. So I didn't have to go on the roof, I just had to squeeze into the attic. But I know we had guys carrying ladders off of trucks on an iced-over driveway, setting up in the snow or in soft mud, getting up on an iced-over roof to do work. Because one of the things we do, and we try and do early, is to evacuate those gases that build during a fire. They're hot, they're toxic, so if we can get a hold of that roof as early as possible, that improves the survivable space for any possible survivors that are in there, but it also makes our job easier because now we can see and all that heat goes out the top. So those guys are up there doing that on an icy roof. I'm in the attic and I can see how poorly built this house is. Modern houses don't do well with fire. Those trusses burn down very quickly. So we come back from that call, and as we're debriefing, like, man, that would have been a perfect call for a ladder truck, but it's not the type of call you're going to see on the news because it's a bread and butter routine job. Ventilate, make sure we get all the products of combustion out, make sure the fire has stopped there. So this truck's one of those tools where once you have it, you're going to find all of these uses for it. We don't have any challenges flowing water and moving water. within 10 minutes, I can probably have 5,000 gallons of water on tap at your front door between Lisbon and Mount Vernon, and then we can continue that supply with our further away neighbors. So we look at this truck as we can remove the pump, reduce costs, have more storage, and use it in a more tactical manner. That those are the types of jobs where we're not going to wait 20 minutes. If we have to wait 20 minutes to get a ladder, we're just going to get the ladder off the back and put it up, right? So that's why you don't see a lot of ladder trucks in our town, because the types of jobs that we're doing with them, when you do see them, those are luckily rare. The bread and butter firefighting jobs that we use, that's what it's going to get used for. So probably rambling more than my 5 minutes, but again, main point is thank you for your support. We feel loved by the council, and we feel that you guys have our backs with whatever we need. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is anybody else here to speak during public comment section? If not, procedurally here, generally for public comment, we have this opportunity at the front part of the meeting for our citizens to speak for 5 minutes about a topic that's not on the agenda here or anything like that. So it is not something that gets debated on council at that time because it's not an agenda item. But procedurally, if the request that we get from a citizen, in this case, Keith's, Ms. Gubner's suggestion, would probably have to get addressed by a council member to ask that it get on the agenda for a future meeting, either to myself or to staff. So I think that's kind of where we're at as far as this point. Am I missing anything?
I take it a step further. Everybody but Scott can request, because he wasn't here.
Oh, good point, good point.
Because you have voted on this and it's been approved, one of the 4 members of the individuals that voted in favor of this would have to request that this item be placed back on the agenda, which you can do over the course of the next week. Now, I would say there is approval that has been received. If a contract is received, unless you indicate by tomorrow morning that you'd like to place a hold on it, the contract would get issued. So I only ask that if you are contemplating asking for this to be back on the agenda, do it rather quickly, at least places a hold on the contract being signed.
Council, we're...
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, don't look at you, Greg. Okay. Last call, public comment, anybody else? Moving on to the consent agenda, we've got 2 items on the consent agenda, and a point of order that Councilman West pointed out is that there was 1 resume in the packet, and that's because the other 3 were basically already members of that particular organization. This was the ambulance service, so that's why there was only 1 resume in there. With that, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. I'll take, Scott and Paul. Move the second to approve the consent agenda of 2 items. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Going to public hearing. We've got public hearing on proposed amendment to Chapter 115 Cemetery to the City of Mount Vernon Municipal Code. I want to officially open the public meeting on that particular item. Thank Mr. Nosbush for being our representative on that commission, because I think they are pretty engaged, and probably will be seeing more from them. Huh?
I said that's kind of an understatement. They're very engaged.
Because we have them.
Yeah, for those that are sitting in the audience, the ordinance doesn't do really much of anything except the dimensions of the foundation bases are placed in the ordinance, which I think is bad practice anyway, because things change, you have to change an actual law in order for that to be effective. But the issue is that the foundation base that is listed is actually based upon the cemetery plots in the old cemetery. The new cemetery are actually 4 inches wider, 4 or 8 inches wider. Yeah, so we have 2 different sizes, essentially. So what we're asking you to do is just basically remove the verbiage on the dimensions, and then the cemetery commission is working on a design guideline with the city staff that we would just adopt you would adopt at some point, but then you could change those designs in one meeting versus going 2 or 3 meetings scenario.
I would move to close public hearing, ordinance 1-20-2025A, if there aren't any further questions.
Thank you, Greg. Is there a second to close the public hearing? Second. Take Mark on that one. Move the second to close the public hearing, and now we're going to move to, let's vote on that. Close the public hearing. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're on to the ordinance that coincides with that one. 120-2025A, amending chapter 15, cemetery, City of Mount Vernon, Iowa Municipal Code, has that adjustment that Chris mentioned.
So, Chris, if we approve this, and this moves forward, are we gonna have, and/or do we care about having a gap between now and when these guidelines are put in place?
No, so we have what I would call a loose guideline
Okay.
as is right now. And really what brought us about is in the new cemetery, especially when they buy side by side, they have some rather large memorials that they've been asking for, so. No, if I were a betting person, I would say Mary's probably got a rough draft already, but,
So we have something to lead.
yeah,
guess.
I would not waive readings.
Okay.
Definitely willing to take your time on
Yeah.
this, but I don't think we'll be.
Hopefully there aren't too many instances where we need to worry about it anyway. Having said that, unless there are other questions or concerns, I'd move approval of ordinance 1-20-2025A, amending chapter 115, cemetery of municipal code.
Second.
That's Kathleen, and that is for a first reading, with the intent of the next reading, or the next meeting. Yeah. That's, got a motion on the floor to approve the amended chapter 115 of the cemetery at the City of Mount Vernon, and that is a roll call vote.
Turler?
Yes.
West? Yes. Engel?
Yes.
Andreessen?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
And that resolution passes, or that ordinance passes. Moving to motions for approval, the first one we got on the claims list. Any questions about the claims list of staff, or?
Marcia's not here, so we didn't get that one today. I would move to approve the claims list.
Thank you, Craig.
I just have a quick question, just as I saw it pop up.
Let's get a second, then we can discuss.
Okay.
Second. Okay, Paul seconded, so Craig and Paul.
Just quick
Discussion.
Yeah, just quick, I saw something there from Red Lion, so it just made me curious as to how that's going.
It's actually going well. I believe they're working with the school district as well, trying to get something going there. Their buildings are set up a little bit different, but yeah, I've been happy.
Yeah, good deal. Just curious.
Any other questions of staff on the claims list? Otherwise, we've got a motion on the floor to approve the claims list, and that is a voice vote. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Discussion consideration of the application number 3, Woodruff Construction improvements.
So the next 2 pay applications you'll have to vote on separately, but the first one is for $309,088.63. And the second is $70,300. It is on, obviously it's on hold right now, pending weather, but so far they're on schedule. They're scheduled to be done by the end of May.
So for a few weeks in the middle of winter here, a little warm,
Yeah.
warmer.
we could-
Are there, if we assume, I mean, and this is just kind of a general, let's make sure we're kind of thinking about it, question/statement, but if they're done by the end of May, fantastic, everything is copacetic. What I'm thinking, though, is we won't know until they're actually done that they are done, and we tend to not, we tend to set annual pool passes and swimming lessons, and all of that stuff happens basically now, right? It's kind of when those balls get rolling and we start interviewing and hiring for the summer and everything. So I guess what I'm getting at is Parks and Rec having a conversation about Plan A is they're done end of May and we're all fine. Plan B is they're not done until, June 10 or whatever, and now we do whatever.
So as of right now, we are going to operate as if they're going to be done on time. The discussion has been had though.
Okay.
As far as training for staff, so we're making contingency plans right now. For training, the expectation is that if there is a delay, we would need to know what kind of delay it's going to be before we would start bringing forward a plan for discounts. But if we're talking missing the opening weekend versus missing 2 or 3 weeks, obviously a big difference.
Yep.
But some of the items I would tell you is so the overhead lights, to allow for night swim, and I say this, I know all of our departments going to be hysterical, but no more night swims, and that, by night swim, I mean after dark. The overhead lights were $184,000 for what amounted to about 10 evenings. So what I recommended to Woodruff was to take that money that we would have spent on overhead lights and go and look at both existing buildings. So moral of that story is some of that work could be done while the pool is open. The new heater is in, and it is quite impressive compared to the old unit. It's 3 zones versus the 2. It's 1 unit versus 2 units. So Jeff, who's the superintendent for Woodruff on site, has been great to work with. I would put him up there with septic on as far as being out of the PD. It's just been a dream. But yeah, we do have contingency plans. We're just, before we make any concrete recommendations, we want to see what that looks like.
I assumed as much, I just wanted to make sure, and then, public nature and all, so. With that, unless there are further questions or concerns, I would move approval of pay application number 3 to Woodruff in the amount of $309,088.63.
I'll second that. Craig. We have a motion on the floor to approve pay application number 3 to Woodruff. Answering no further questions or comments from staff. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to pay application number 4. Same message,
Is there
basically.
anything in particular on this one, Chris, that you want to talk about?
I'm going to go ahead and move forward to approve the pay application number 4 to Woodruff Construction in the amount of $70,300.
Second.
Stephanie, Mark, let's do it that way.
I was going to say, is it Mark or is it Paul?
I thought I heard you say. Stephanie, Mark, for the minutes. Motion on the floor to approve the application number 4 for water construction. If we're ready to vote on that one, by voice vote, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to Water's Edge, invoice 11078.
Invoices in the amount of $22,800, along the same lines of the 2 pay apps. So,
Is this the final payment? It's got to be close.
it's close. I think it's about $20,000.
All right.
Any questions besides Craig? Okay.
If no questions, I'll move to approve invoice number 11078 to Water's Edge for pool improvements in the amount of $20,800.
Thank you, Stephanie, for a second.
Second.
Yeah. Move to second to move forward with the Water's Edge invoice 11078. And if we're ready to vote on that, all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is discussion consideration of engagement letter with Spirit Financial, 2025 GO bonds.
This is in anticipation, obviously, of the $2.5 million bonds. $500,000 of that going for the streetlight project in Uptown, and then $2 million of that going towards the Rachel Street improvements. TIP and loss would be the identified funding mechanisms. Spear is the one that works through. They actually sell the bonds for us, and they work through our rating.
And they have done that everyone that I think I've ever been involved with,
Right.
so it's not a
Good
big.
relationships.
30 years.
Yeah. Unless there's questions or concerns, I would move approval of the engagement letter with Spear Financial for the outlined bond sale.
Second. Move second to move forward with the engagement letter with Spear. And if you're ready to vote on that, all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 6 is discussion consideration of rescheduling the February 17th meeting because of President's Day. Generally, I think we've gone to Tuesday.
I cannot do Tuesday. If we do it, if we move it.
And I'm usually out of town on Tuesdays, so it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge for me too.
They have done Wednesday before.
Yeah.
That works
Yeah,
for you.
if we can do Wednesday, would that work for you? Craig?
And so we're talking about moving the scheduled meeting from Monday, February 17th to either 18 or 19, Tuesday or Wednesday, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Wednesday works for me.
So motion to the effect of the 19th, same time and place.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Paul. And Scott. Move the second to move the normal February 17th meeting to Wednesday, February 19th meeting. And if you're ready to vote on that, all in favor of that motion, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. If we're now to J7, the added flight policy. There's a handout at our stations too.
Okay. You want me to go?
So, at the last council meeting, you had asked for this to be back on the agenda as kind of your year in review. Now is the time, if there's any changes that you would like to make to the existing policy. We have made it exactly a year. So,
Yeah, if you're good with the year, but I'll go ahead and move forward. Yes, so I'm going to ask for the Jewish American Heritage Month to be recognized for the month of May. Again, went through, a good 5-minute speech, so I think everybody here was able to review it and recall it from that May, end of May. So I'm not going to revisit that entire spiel. Just wanted to highlight that it's recognized by the federal and state government. This past from October 7th through September, there were 10,000 plus incidents reported of anti-Semitism just in that short time span. And that increase, huge increase, obviously, after that attack from October 7th. And then I just want to clarify, and most of that was for clarification on that, was that it's not just Jewish religion, it's Jewish American people, which encompasses an entire culture and ethnicity, and that's what we're talking about with this. So that encompasses their cultural identity, history, and shared experiences. And then let's see here. And then just in closing, I closed last time with Lenny Kravitz. I think it just kind of identifies, just generally who anybody could be. He's black, half white, Jewish, Christian. He gets a lot of his heritage, and he loves his Jewish heritage. He considers himself a Jew who practices Christianity. Due to his family upbringing, and he said he wouldn't be the same without his Jewish upbringing. So that's who he sees it as a culture, and it's important to him, but he doesn't practice religion. So there is a contrast between the religion and his culture. So that's just kind of where I stand, and would like that to be added. I think it's appropriate.
Lori, can you refresh my memory, because it's not on the document in front of us, what others are in there?
Yeah, we were just discussing that. So it's the Asian Pacific American, and it's mental health awareness. We have 2 flags on the pole.
Okay.
So that was one of the things that we wanted you guys to kind of discuss and how we want to go about that, because getting 3 on there is going to be really tight. I mean, the one on the bottom you're going to be able to touch. I mean,
When we put this together originally, Lori, and I read your email from May when you first identified that, we said at the time, there's nothing magical about having a flag on there for the entire month.
Right, and so
Whether it
that's
be
where.
10 days,
Exactly.
15 days, one day, within that, if there are 3 flags, you know, you can figure it out, but you can do 20 days each.
Right.
One,
Right.
you can do that pretty easily.
And you can fit 3 on it, it's just gonna be, you're gonna be able to touch that bottom one. It's a lower flag.
I think last time,
Yeah.
And then you get into the conversation of if we,
If we have to go to half staff, now it's.
right, and if you,
dragging.
if you choose to maybe get a new flagpole that's taller, then we're gonna have to get a new flagpole for the American Iowa flag because it
Yeah,
has
of course.
higher. So it just thinking about all those pieces.
I would say in this instance, just because if you talk about adding English American Heritage Month, and then we have Asian Pacific, Hawaiian Heritage Month, I would probably leave mental health awareness up there for the entire month. And then, because we're talking about 2 groups, I would just switch them halfway through.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that we don't have to put that in writing.
The switching?
Yeah.
No.
With that.
No, but you may have to answer questions, just so you know,
Right.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
So have there been any other requests since this came up?
Just one.
Okay.
So then the next question is, which one do you put up for the first half of the month, which one do you put up for the second? Those are the things that
Discretion.
people will ask you.
And that's.
You pick one, then we switch it next year. I mean, there's,
I just know what we're gonna
That's
ask.
how I
so
put, that's how we
It
did
will
the
probably
Angelo
go by
trade
order
one.
of when you
Google
put them on
tells
there.
me
So
which year.
since Asian Pacific was on the original,
Mhm.
we would start with that, beginning of May, and then switch halfway through. You were about to make a motion, sorry.
We want to take a motion.
With that, I would move approval of adding,
Is there no public discussion on this?
Let's get a motion and then we'll get back. So that's a motion?
yes,
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Paul Scott. So moved and seconded to move forward with Jewish American Month being added, a flag for the month, and that it be shared with Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander in the month of May. And before we vote, is it?
Mental health awareness.
And shared with mental health awareness, which will be up there for the entire time probably. Any comments from the public about it? Yes?
All right, so here we are again on the flag discussion, and I see no flags flying on the pole. Is it time just to have the discussion to get rid of this? Stop flying anything but the flags that should be on the main pole? I would ask you guys again to make this super simple. Fly Cornell and Mustang flag on that second pole and get rid of all the rest of this. You guys continue to create division in this community with all these flags. Every time one's up, I sit across the street and I see people coming up, and some are happy and some are pissed off. And I would highly recommend the 2 easiest flags to get behind in this town, behind the American flag and the state flag, would be the Mustang flag and Cornell. It would solve all your problems. Fly those 2 year-round, get rid of everything else, send them back, or donate them.
Thank you for your opinion, Mr. Hubner. As an agenda item, the whole area of flag policy is up for discussion, but I think the scope that was identified at the motion in the second relates to not stopping the program, but just to add one to the month of May, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the motion.
So that's what's on the floor. Any other comments from anybody from the public? Questions of staff? Questions of council for staff? If not, then if we're ready to vote on that motion. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to reports, beginning with the first report.
Nothing additional other than what's in the report there. I just wanted to update council that Officer Eicher began the police academy January 6th, so finished up the second week and heading back there tonight, so.
excellent.
Was there a sting, a tobacco sting going on, or?
There was.
That's what I
As you've
want.
probably noticed from the police report.
There was some consistencies in there that we typically don't see. So.
Yeah, we had 2 retailers that have sold, one in Mount Vernon, one in Lisbon, out of those, so,
Gotcha.
correct.
Thank you.
Any questions, Chief, of that? Moving on to Public Works. Anything to add, Eldon?
I don't know where to start, but no. It's just busy all the
Talked
time.
about the Christmas tree policy, picking him up at the, before we started, but thanks for that.
Yep.
Any questions to Eldon? Public Works?
Notice you said the winter's almost over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put chalk the walk banners up just in case.
Notice that.
That was optimistic.
Yeah, it's either.
We get our biggest snows as usual.
Right.
We've been pretty fortunate
Just
so
if you're
far.
checking to see if we're reading it.
I do have a, where is the brine tank?
In the shed.
It's a,
In the new shed, that'll be,
It will be in the new.
will be.
Over
okay,
there. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
I was out there dropping glass off and
It'll be that building.
wondering. Excellent.
Anything else for Eldon? Moving on to Parks and Rec. Mr. Siders is here. Thank you for your report. Any questions on that?
Like the LDC numbers.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding, no kidding.
Agreed.
How do we get by without it?
In 5 years, good lord.
And a busy week next calendar week, right?
Yes,
Right?
we're celebrating our 5 year, Be celebrating our 5 years, and all week we're celebrating Monday through Friday. We're doing something different every day.
Excellent.
We encourage everybody to come out and enjoy it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. The first one was rough.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't say.
With the Cole Library report, Grace did provide us with her updates, even during the abbreviated month of December. Anything else there? Moving to Mayor's report. I thought I mentioned 2 things. I caught the legislative update at, last Saturday at the Hiawatha Public Library. Engaged with Senator McClintock. John and I get along pretty well. Spot in the park for Mount Vernon. And the new county supervisor, Mansion, Eishai Mansion, Sumbach, Eishai, I think, Maishai, yeah. But we're going to set up a date for her to come visit. I did reach out to her at the beginning of the year, so she's coming to Mount Vernon. I do know her, and her dad well. And so legislative update, and in case you missed Chris's presentation at the LBC, I think there were at least 38 people there. I don't know if there's been anybody else on account of that, but it was well received, well. So. And any other council and committee reports?
I would just say that after over a year of really good leadership, Renee Verlee has chosen to step down from her leadership post with the Mount Vernon-Lisbon Child Care Solutions team. And with a lot of arm twisting from the mayor and a couple of others, I'm going to be assuming the leadership for that group, at least for the next year or so. And we're in the process of applying for a $500,000 grant, and we'll hopefully be successful.
Are we leveraging Joe on that?
Grant writer?
I don't know if we are leveraging Joe or not. I know that Linda Bigley has really been riding herd on that, so.
Well, thanks for your work.
Thank you.
It's important.
That project is at a critical time right now with possible state funding, obviously on the table. This is the time of season to get in front of other foundations for other possible grants, as well as possibly going to public private donations. But also with plans what we're going to do with the LGC to address and engage in childcare in the community. So thank you for stepping up there, Greg. Any other council or committee reports? Moving to city administrator's report. Chris had a couple items listed. Pardon?
Kind of a boring report.
Either
What is that, scripting?
Yeah, boring is always feel like the beginning of the year starts that way, and then
Yeah, give it time.
we'll see what the state does too. It might get more exciting.
Any Anything else that needs to come before this council at this time, since item N is dropped? If not, then and also we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh,